Do you think money can buy love?
No. It doesn't create a connection between two people. And I think that's probably the way more important thing. And by the way, no one should be taking love advice from me.
For the record.
Welcome to the Two Disabled Dudes podcast. We believe life is about how we react.
Hey, welcome to the Two Disabled Dudes podcast. I'm Sean, and I'm glad you're here today. It's a special day. At the time this comes out, it's the day before, or actually, I guess maybe a day and a half before Kyle's birthday. So, Kyle, happy birthday.
Thanks, man. Yeah, at this point, I'm not on the other side yet, right, of 40. And so I just wanted to ask you, how does it feel to be on the other side so I can prepare for it?
It's fine, Kyle. It does make a difference, okay? I feel the same, and you still have way more gray hair than I do.
I don't dye my hair, though. Do you dye your hair at all?
No, I haven't dyed my hair since I was 20 and in college.
All right.
Bleach tips were the thing, man. So, happy birthday. And in honor of Kyle's birthday, everybody be sure to wish him happy birthday, especially if you listen to this on Monday, October 4th, or somewhere around there. October 5th is Kyle's birthday, so Tuesday of this week. You can find him on Instagram, Facebook, all the things. So wish him a happy birthday in honor of Kyle's over-the-hill birthday. We have decided, we have identified our top picks as the top birthday treat or the top birthday meal. Since birthday boys and girls usually get to pick where they go or what kind of cake they get. Kyle, what is your top pick when it comes to birthday foods?
My top pick is something that I go with. If this is on the menu, I go with it every time, even if it's not my birthday. But on my birthday, I do want this, and it's spare ribs. I love me some spare ribs and some mashed potatoes and green beans. Oh my gosh, and I think the point of this is to do something special, right? But I mean, like I said, I get that no matter what, if it's on the menu. I'm not a real huge, special meal guy, but I'm going to go with spare ribs.
What's the difference between ribs and spare ribs? Or are they the same thing?
I don't know, but spare ribs don't... spare ribs, I think, are boneless most of the time. Like, if you order them at a restaurant, they're boneless. So, it's a rib, but you can cut it pretty easily with a fork. And it's really tasty.
I mean, just to be completely transparent and open here, I like meat. I don't mind a good steak, chicken, whatever. But I usually avoid ribs because no matter what, I hear the word ribs and I just think I gotta hold it and chew on it like a corn on the cob. And that's just not, I don't want to work hard for my food. I want to just put it in my mouth. So I typically don't go the rib route no matter what kind of rib it is. I just assume they all have bones.
I can agree with that. I think that's one of the reasons I like spare ribs. And usually, my go-to is like a casserole or something, right? Somewhere where you don't have to work for it. It's all like in one forkful.
It's all the same, one spoonful. All right.
So what's your top birthday treat / meal?
I'm going to go with the actual birthday treat. Like you said, you'll always order ribs, or that's a kind of a go-to favorite. All of our listeners know pizza, hamburgers, I'm happy. So let's go with dessert. I'm not a big dessert guy, so I don't order it or get it very often or at all. But when it comes to my birthday, if somebody wants to do something special or throw in a gift or, bake something, I'm a brownies guy. I like thin and really dense, so on the chewy side.
Yeah.
I don't like them covered in fudge, and I most certainly don't like nuts, so no nuts in my brownies. But a plain, heavy, dense brownie is going to make Sean pretty happy.
I can get on board with that, but... I noticed that both of us we don't really have super exciting picks for our birthday meal.
No. I'm also good with a glass of wine and just catching up on
Chilling
life.
out.
So
yeah.
I don't need a special treat. And maybe that's because we're 40 and we just don't care anymore. Whatever the case, today we thought we'd just have a little bit of fun surrounding the issue or the topic of money. We know that money can be a tough topic for many of us, especially in the rare disease world. Our disabilities often make it hard or perhaps impossible to earn a decent wage or income or any at all. We all know government assistance can be bare minimum if we're lucky. Healthcare is all-consuming, even money and expenses. So with even all those things, that's just the beginning, right? Maybe you have kids and you got to pay rent and you got to put yourself through school and whatever else you want to try to do. Sometimes money can be an overwhelming nuisance in life, if you will. So although this particular episode is not an advice episode, and it most certainly isn't some sort of get-rich-quick pitch, we just want to talk about money in different ways. So to do that, Kyle and I got online and separately we searched far and wide on the internet for a series of questions we could just ask each other and get each other's perspective. Maybe some of the questions are silly and kind of ridiculous, but I imagine there's a couple that might get into our philosophies on money and some of the things we do to prepare for the future and things of the sort. So we're just going to work our way through a handful of questions on each side of the microphone today and see what happens. So Kyle, you sent me a series of questions, and then we decided we probably shouldn't see the questions ahead of time.
Yeah.
So then we both had to kind of start over.
Right.
And I don't remember where I'm at. Maybe we should link it in the show notes to be fair. I found a page with probably 300 questions.
Wow.
I did not read them all. So as we go, I'm just going to kind of bounce around.
Yeah,
I don't even have my favorites picked out. So I have no idea what to tell you to expect.
Yeah, no, Sean, I've come to expect you to be unprepared. So, whatever you need to do, man.
Well, thank you. As long as we're okay with it. So, since you were the diligent one to find a set of questions, I will give you the opportunity to begin the question asking if you'd like.
All right. So, Sean, what is something positive you learned about money and finances from your parents?
Savings, I would have to say. My dad was a proponent of both tithing, so given to the church or the ministry, and also saving. When we were really young and we would earn money by doing some extra odd jobs around the house or for his business, he would, pay us. And he was very adamant about, okay, give some to the church, give some to yourself for later. And I think he really instilled the value of saving for the future. My dad didn't come from a lot of money, but he certainly managed what he had in a way that made sure his family was taken care of.
Yeah. You mentioned doing things around the house and your dad would pay you. Do you remember what the first time you got paid? Do you remember what that was?
Not off the top of my head, I don't. In my family, we didn't get a weekly allowance just because we did our chores, right? That was part of being a member of the household. Everybody pitched in and did dishes and vacuumed here and there. My dad, a long time ago, used to sell those fancy luxury vans to dealers. So he worked for the manufacturer, and he'd drive all over the state or his region selling 10, 20, 30 vans to a dealership. So he always had a demo. That's what he would drive around and kind of show up, the latest, greatest bells and whistles. And he would pay us to wash those vans. My brother and I would, go outside and vacuum and wash them and whatnot. And he would give us, I want to say it was $40 a van, and we'd both get 20.
Nice.
I could be wrong, don't quote me, but it was roughly like that. And, when you're 14 and you don't have a car, you don't have to worry about gas or insurance. That was, $20 here and there to hang out with friends or to save up for a new Game Boy or whatever it was.
Right. Yeah.
What about you? Did you have an allowance? Did Mike and Diane give you money for just being a kid?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
And maybe part of it was we'll give him the allowance so that we have something to take away when he's acting like a jerk.
Yeah. I think as I say that, it does matter if you call it a weekly allowance or you get paid for odd jobs. I think the whole idea of giving kids money is to help them understand the value of money.
Right,
and I'm sure that was something done in either household.
I think I learned a similar thing from my dad, as you mentioned, just saving and making sure things are taken care of. I think that's something that I really respect about, a lot of things you say about your dad and about my dad. In my experience, he just took care of everybody and made sure there was always enough. And I don't ever remember feeling insecure. I wouldn't say we lived in excess at all.
Sure.
But I never remember feeling too concerned, and, he just took care of it.
Yeah. Since you use the word excess, one of the questions on my list is, do you spend money or do you buy things you don't need? I'm sure the answer is yes. But how often, and can you share an example or two?
Not anymore. I don't buy things I don't need. When I buy something, over, say $100, I'll research it. I'll wait 2 weeks to buy it on Amazon or whatever to make sure I'm getting the right model, the right whatever it is. I did one time. I thought I was so awesome because I was winning at the Toastmasters speech competition. And I went to the semifinals, and I bought a tuxedo for that speech. So stupid.
Wow.
And
bought it. Like, didn't rent it.
Right.
You bought one.
Exactly.
To keep forever and ever.
Right. Yeah. And then I got there, and there was one speech, and then the semifinals, then the finals, and that's what I bought the tux for. And I didn't make it past the semifinals. Wow. So I worn this tux like once, and I felt out of place because who ever wears a tux?
Yeah.
Right? So
totally.
the stupidest thing.
Can you recall your frame of mind or the thought process back then? What was it, like 30 years ago? But how did you convince yourself to buy a tuxedo?
Well, I was just like, you know what? I'm going to go to the next level. I'm going to pull out all the stops so I can win the international speech competition for Toastmasters. And I don't know, for some reason I thought a tux would
gotta have it.
Yeah, that was stupid.
Okay.
And it costs like $700, and it's just chilling here in my closet still.
Jeez. Still? Like, do you think does it still fit?
Yeah.
Probably.
I haven't grown since like senior year of high school, I think. So,
All right.
what is your most frivolous and ridiculous purchase?
That's a great question. A couple things come to mind. The big one is we talked about it on the podcast maybe last year. I used to be okay with spending money at Target or a Marshall's or some home goods store. If you see a new throw pillow or something kind of cool, a gadget, a picture frame, something that might decorate the house or the apartment. And I used to buy stuff up because I'm like, oh, that's cool. That's cool. I like that. And we joked about storage units and all that stuff in the past. And what I recognized was, unless you have your own house, like maybe long term, all that stuff's unnecessary. And then when I went to pack to move, I was like, why do I have this? What am I ever going to do? You know, I think I gave you a hard time because you had, I don't know, some egg blender or egg
right.
I don't remember
steamer,
what it was.
Yeah.
The egg steamer. It's like, sure, you might use that once a year, you know, to make deviled eggs at Christmas or whatever it may be. But do you really need to spend $8 or $28 on the item? So
right.
I would have to say the category where I feel like I've been the most frivolous in the past was things around the apartment or the house that just didn't add value to my life at all.
Yeah. When you pay for things, how do you prefer to pay? With cash, with a credit card, some other form of payment? How do you pay for things?
It's going to be debit mostly.
Mm-hmm.
I, especially over the last couple of years, have been really careful and conscious of how I use my credit cards.
Yep.
We've talked about that before as well, trying to get to a place where I'm, you know, able to buy a house and kind of be a real grown-up. So although I'm still climbing out of some poor decisions a while back, I'm very conscious of my credit cards. In fact, a couple of them, or one, I don't even have it activated. It sits in a drawer, and the only reason why I don't close it is the negative impact, maybe, that it could. It's so weird philosophies. I'm not sure. Should I close it? Should I not?
Yeah.
Is it going to affect my credit score? Does it matter? If I can do everything in cash, do I need a credit score? So
right.
I'm still wrestling with all of that, but hands down, cash if I have it. I just say debit because I don't normally carry cash.
Yeah.
What about you? You know, some people love racking up those credit card points.
Yeah, I know. I got rid of all my credit cards. I only use cash for like 5 or 6 years now. And I was a little bit concerned when I was going to get my home loan because I have a zero, or at the time I had a 0 credit score. But I was able to get a loan from this company that does a lot of 0 credit score loans. And so the answer is that you don't need credit. You can figure out how to do things if you have a 0 credit score. And a 0 credit score doesn't mean you have terrible credit. It just means you don't use credit at all.
Yeah. Which I would think by default has to be a good thing.
Yeah.
So, let's talk a little bit about shopping habits. Do you compare prices at different stores? And I mean this in the world of things you have to buy on a regular basis. Call it groceries, toilet paper, paper towels. Do you spend time searching for the best deal before you execute their purchase?
That's an interesting question because on the daily stuff, I shop at Whole Foods, like the most expensive grocery store ever, right? And I just feel like they have a really good produce and a really good meat section, and those are the two that I frequent, and so I shop there. And so in the places like groceries, I do that every day. I could save money if I, compare prices, but I don't. But then if I buy something on Amazon, I'll buy the one that saves me like $1, and I'll look through Amazon for like half an hour just to find the one. Oh, well, it's going to take 4 more days to get here, but I can save $1, so I better get that one.
So then that generates another question. Would you say your spending habits or the way you judge purchase, is it based more on convenience or more on saving money?
Honestly, one of the reasons I go to Whole Foods is because there's not as many people in there, and the parking lot is easy.
So
So that's convenience, right? But then when it comes to online shopping, it's about price.
Yeah.
What about you?
I would lean probably more towards ease and convenience. Every now and then it's going to be price. Sure.
Yeah.
If we just think the daily stuff, I do it at work a lot. And I think this is another principle my dad taught me. At the end of the day, everything costs you money. Right. It's going to cost, or not money, it's going to cost you something. Because you're either going to give up your time or your energy or money. And one thing my dad taught me, maybe in a indirect way, was, sure, I can go buy deodorant at Target for 20 cents cheaper, but it's going to cost me 20-minute drive and the gas and the time to fuss with that parking lot versus wherever I happen to be at in the moment. So at work, I do that every now and then. Sure, paper towels might be cheaper at Target, but I'm already in the building and it's 40 cents cheaper. It's not like dollars. It's usually change. So it's like, it's not worth the time and gas to drive down the street or to go across town because that one store is still a little bit cheaper.
So is it looked down upon to shop other places other than like your work?
I think as human nature, yes, that's like, buy where you work. But not out loud, not in the culture of my workplace. It's not like hey, buy here, why'd you go over there? Nobody gives you a hard time. In fact, a case in point, we have our own juice and coffee bar, but I walk in every day with Starbucks, and sure, there's some silly harassments and jokes made, but everybody, no matter who you are or where you work, everybody's got the thing they like.
Yeah.
And nobody does it the same way.
Right.
I'm pretty sure I know the answer to this one because I think you said it point blank in a recent episode. Do you enjoy shopping?
No. Absolutely not.
For anything?
You know what?
Clothes, food, car, like furniture for your new place.
I enjoy looking around at like REI or like an outdoor store or maybe a fishing store. Like I actually don't even fish very much, but I guess I just have always had memories of me and my dad and my brother going into a fishing store or an REI or something to get something and look around.
If we were to bounce back to the allowance question or, the pocket money your parents gave you when you were younger, what is something you did with that money? Can you recall anything specific that you were saving up for or you would spend it regularly on?
I remember I bought a skateboard. My friends were into skateboarding, and I have the FA. Like, at the time, I didn't know I had the FA. But I was not good at skateboarding. And I should have had no business on a skateboard. But I bought it with my allowance.
Do you think money can buy love?
No. I think it can step in an issue, I think, and in a certain instance. But I think it's fleeting. It doesn't create a connection between two people. And I think that's probably the way more important thing. And by the way, no one should be taking love advice from me.
For the record, I was just thinking as you were talking there, maybe money can help jumpstart love. You find yourself attracted to somebody, perhaps because you know they have money, and maybe you fall in love at some point, but
yeah,
hopefully it's not the reason behind it.
Yeah,
it's probably not gonna end well.
Here's one for you, Sean. How often do you think about money, and is it a stressful part of life?
That's a good question. I would say all the time, like every day.
Right.
3 to 5 days a week for sure. But I don't think I would call it a stressful thing on a regular basis. There are stressful times, like when I broke my femur and bills were expensive. Like, that's kind of a bummer. But I wouldn't say day to day I'm stressed out. There were definitely seasons of my life where, I was living paycheck to paycheck and just didn't really see how and where that money was going to come from or the ability to pay was going to come from. But by and large, I would say, no, not stressful. And I'm thankful for that because that I think for a lot of, especially in the middle class realm, that doesn't always come easy. You have to be somewhat smart with how you earn, how you save, how you spend. And I feel like I'm thankful that it's not a stressful factor in life.
Yeah, and I think it probably relates back to what we both said about what we learned from our fathers. Take care of stuff first, right? I'm always thinking about taking care of the future and paying the bills down the road or whatever. And I think that allows us to not get in a tight spot. Like you said, there are unexpected things that happen, but by and large, I think I'm in the same boat.
I've got an idea inspired by some of the questions on here. I want to throw it out for all of our listeners too. So I assume, what we're comfortable spending on a gallon of gas or a meal is going to be closely tied to our age, right? If I were to ask my grandma or grandpa, they would say, oh, gas shouldn't cost more than $1 a gallon. And obviously people in their 20s and 30s, that's just not
right.
It's not normal. You think back to the first time you went to a movie theater. Do you remember the first time you went to the theater?
No, but I remember when I was 16, paying for gas, like putting 2 gallons in my tank with the change from the floorboard.
Yeah.
Nice. You couldn't do that today.
Been there. The first movie I recall seeing in a theater, I'm sure maybe my parents took me younger, but the first movie I can remember is Forrest Gump. And I'm pretty sure our movie tickets were roughly $6. Mm-hmm. So, anyway, with that in mind, I want to ask you several questions of averages, what you'd be comfortable, what you think a fair price for X, Y, or Z is.
Yep.
And listeners, as you listen along or drive along or you're on the bus or whatever you're doing, see how these numbers match with you. So, Kyle, let's say you're traveling in the United States, so domestically, wherever you're at, and you need a hotel room. And you're in nowhere fancy, so we're not talking San Diego or Miami, but you're just, everyday average city, and you need a hotel. How much is a fair price to pay for a decent hotel? Like, what are you comfortable paying?
My first thought is $150, and that's for a decent hotel room. I would love it to be $100, but then you're on the edge a little bit, I feel like.
Sure. So are you okay with anywhere between $100 and $150? How about a car? Brand new, you're going to buy a new truck or maybe a mobility van or an accessible van. What's a fair price in your opinion?
I'm going to say like $25,000. For a mobility van, it's probably actually a lot more like double.
Yeah.
I'm not going to go over the top and get something super luxurious. I'm literally just getting what I need, but I think, $25,000 is probably what I would spend on a car if I, yeah.
What about, think back to your, was it a Tacoma you drove a long time ago? All right, let's say you're going out tomorrow, you're shopping for a new Tacoma, even though you're not in a position to buy that particular vehicle. How much do you think that new Tacoma is going to cost you today?
I think I'd stick with 20 to 25. Yeah.
All right. Okay.
What would your Subaru cost to buy? I know you lease it, but what would it cost?
The one I have is roughly 26, but it's also a base model. The one I want and, has some of the bells and whistles that I believe are going to be better long term, like the automatic liftgate. Mm-hmm. I expect to spend no less than 30.
See, I also have not been in the car market for a long time.
Yeah.
So maybe that shows
okay, well,
too.
You're in the housing market, or you were last year. What do you say? Again, nowhere fancy like San Francisco or Miami or New York City, but average middle ground city, town, whatever. What's a fair price for a 3-bedroom, 2-bath house?
Whoa, 3-bedroom, 2-bath. Holy cow, you're going big here, man.
Wow.
I'm thinking 300.
Yeah, minimum.
Yeah.
In my opinion, no less than 300.
That's I've obviously not investigated the prices of those homes because that's way more than I need right now. But yeah,
how about think back to when you bought your house here in Sacramento? If I remember correctly, it was 2-bedroom, 1-bath. It was a smaller home. It was an older home. Do you remember the price tag on it?
I think it was $225. It was tiny. It was 950 square feet.
And that was 12 years ago? 15 years ago?
Yeah, 2006 is when I bought it. Stupidest thing ever. Okay. Dumbest timing that you could. I bought it in 2006, and I sold it in 2011. Yeah, that's the worst timing you could. Yeah, but...
Well, in 2006, you didn't see that coming. So.
No. Yeah, that's true. But it was in a really nice part of town. East Sac, I think that really jacked up the price a lot there.
Sure. Yeah, the location made a difference. How much are you willing to spend on a haircut?
How much am I willing to spend? I would say $50. I normally spend about 20.
Okay, so maybe I should rephrase the question. Assuming, especially guys with the fades and shaves and whatever, we probably get our haircut once a month.
Right.
What are you willing to spend every single month on it? Like, would you spend $50 every month, or just once in a while for that big event?
If I get my haircut once a month, it's the $20 variety.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wonder how many ladies right now are laughing out loud as they listen to this.
I know.
They probably spend $50 just in hair care, let alone some attention from a stylist.
Yeah. So, Sean, we've talked about this, but how often do you get your hair cut? Like every 2 weeks?
I would say the average is 4 weeks.
Okay.
I have fallen in the 2 to 3 week range if there's something going on. Like if I'm going to be on stage somewhere or be in front of a camera, then sure, I want it to be nice and clean.
Right. And how much do you pay for your haircut like once a month?
I pay $40. $30 is the fee and then $10 tip.
Yeah.
But I'd also say I've been going to the same person for, 7 or 8 years. So even though he might charge somebody else $35 or $40 for a simple barber cut, I've been paying him $30 forever. So I feel like he's well worth that price and even the $10 tip. And if he raised his price, I hope it doesn't hear this, but if he raised his prices to $35 or $40, I would still probably do the same thing. Pay the fee plus the $10 tip.
Right. Yep.
What about a massage? Have you ever gone out for a professional, like day spa sort of massage?
I've had a massage probably like 4 times, and every time I'm disappointed.
Oh, that's too bad.
I know in at least one case, because I have visible scoliosis. So when I lay down on the table and they see that, I think they go easy because they don't want to do any damage, right? And
I didn't know you had scoliosis.
Yeah.
That's news to me.
Yep. That was one of the things that was diagnosed before FA was diagnosed. You know, we didn't know it was because of FA. You know, and I want someone to work me. I want to feel it, you know? And so when they take it easy and they're like just laying hands, I'm like, seriously? Did I just pay $70 for that? What?
So the ultimate question was, what's a fair price to pay for a 1 hour massage?
I would say like 60 to 70. I think that's
okay.
Is it? I don't even know what is the price of a massage. What would it be for you?
I could be wrong, but I feel like it's closer to $100 if not $120.
Yeah.
And that's assuming you're going to a professional who maybe is in a parlor or maybe even does it out of their own house, but they're licensed and they do it regularly.
Right.
I think if I were to find a place for $70, I'd jump on it because to me that's a steal.
Yeah.
Have you ever purchased a lottery ticket?
Yeah, but I mean like 4 times in my whole life.
Yeah, same here.
Have you dabbled at all in cryptocurrency, Sean?
Not at all.
Me neither. Yeah,
not at all. I feel like I'm still learning the stock market and the things related to traditional stocks. So I don't think I have the energy.
Yeah,
for crypto. Which, in hindsight, I might regret that train of thought, but we'll see. Since you brought up the love thing and you said no love advice from you, if you're dating somebody, you're in a relationship, do you pay for everything when you go out to eat? Do you expect them to share that expense, or is that a conversation you have at some point, or you see what happens when the bill comes at the restaurant? What do you do?
In the courting phase where maybe the relationship status is a little bit ambiguous, I think I'm going to pay for everything, but when it's a relationship a little more long term, then you got to pull your own weight.
Okay. Yeah, I think I'm probably the same philosophy. I just wouldn't have said it that way. I agree with you in the courting phase, but at some point, yeah, I do believe the expenses should be shared, or there should be some sort of conversation. Hey, we're going to go out every Friday night. Maybe you buy the gas and I'll buy the dinner. Like somehow, if we're going to share life together, that means we share the expenses, as well as the wins, the triumphs, everything in between.
Man, that's a lot more reasonable way to put it.
We should probably wrap it up here, but can you explain the proverb, the best things in life are free?
Yeah, it doesn't cost anything to have a nice conversation or share a smile or to make a connection with somebody else. And I think that those are the best things in life, and that doesn't cost anything.
Yeah, I agree. 100%. Well, like I said in the beginning, we're just kind of digging into each other's philosophies and perspectives on money. For me, the whole idea is to challenge ourselves to take a glimpse of where we're at in life and are we moving in the direction we want to be. I joke about Starbucks and spending money there, but talking about it and putting it kind of front and center challenges me to think about my budget, and have I really allowed that to be a part of my budget, or do I just spend the money no matter what? And am I really okay with that? So I think the real value in this conversation, although it's just silly and lighthearted, I want to encourage our listeners to think about what you do and how you do it. And is it helping you move in the direction you want to be? Not to beat yourself up because you spent a little bit extra to get, an extra pump or an extra whipped cream or an extra bell and whistle in your car or something. But I think it's valuable to be comfortable with those decisions and not regret them. So maybe it's a matter of doing what you do, Kyle, and thinking about it for a week or a couple of days and not clicking buy right away, and just making sure that you're comfortable spending the money on that thing. We're all free to spend our money the way we want, in a sense. And I just believe it's valuable and helpful to know how and why, and making sure that's going to help you move in the direction you want to be.
I agree. I feel like money is kind of a taboo subject because we're unsure of ourselves, so we don't share it with other people. But it's important also, I think, to understand everyone has those trepidations and those thoughts, and there isn't one way to do things, and we're all just trying to make ends meet and get along.
And we've said it before in different contexts. When you talk about it, it loses power over you, in a sense. So maybe just talking about it and realizing you're not alone in the struggles and challenges and the thought processes maybe helps us all move forward in a good way. So, Kyle, thanks for helping us land on this topic and being a part of the conversation today, as always, since you're the co-host.
That's me. I'll be here.
Let's wrap it up with some thank you notes. As always, Kyle and I believe in expressing gratitude. So, Kyle, who is your thank you note going out to today?
My thank you note goes out to my neighbor. She was sitting on her porch the other day, and I had a few things around my house that I needed to put up on high shelves that I couldn't reach, and they just need to go up there and be stored there, right? And so I went over, and she was like reading a book on her porch, and I was like, hey, do you mind helping me with something real quick? And she's like, okay, just give me like 20 minutes. And it was clear that like, she wasn't prepared to like spend her day, like she had no idea what I was gonna ask her, right?
Sure.
But she came over and it was really great. She just, it didn't take very long, but anyway, I just appreciate her making room in her day to help a neighbor out.
If you were to do it again, would you preface it with, hey, I could use help putting some things up on our tall shelf, do you have 5 minutes? Or do you think allowing her to think, oh, shoot, what is this going to take 3 hours? Is the best approach? Maybe she thought you wanted her to push you around the block for a walk. I don't know. What?
Can you go to the store for me? I have a list here. And yeah, no, you're right. Maybe I'll modify my approach next time.
I'm not saying you have to. It just might be worth the consideration.
Yep.
My thank you note is actually going out to my local daily Starbucks. They recently made me customer of the week, which of course makes me feel like $1 million. They put my little name on the wall and listed out my drink, and of course the best part of that is your drink is free once a day for a week.
Ooh, nice.
So I saved a lot of money that week.
Yeah, but Sean, how much of customer of the week is just like, oh, this guy's in here all the time and he spends a ton of money, so we better recognize him in some way.
And that's the art of service, right? That's part of what keeps people coming back. You might call it a gimmick, but that's the way of appreciating and validating somebody's choice to continue coming back. Because at the end of the day, at least right now, it's a habit. I'm going to spend $5 somewhere on a cup of coffee. why not that location?
Yeah.
And to keep me coming back to that location, they're going to do little things like that to validate my choice to go there. And I appreciate that. And we kind of laugh about it at work because, I've been going to that spot for a while, and we can joke and say, hey, yeah, free coffee there for a week. That's awesome. But it only took me 4 years and roughly $2,348.77, or whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's worth it, but it felt great for a week.
Yeah, I guess it would be dumb to try to get customer of the week. But if you happen to be customer of the week, that's cool.
Yeah, and I feel like if you ask, hey, how do I be you're probably not going to get it.
Yeah.
Great notes. Thank you for the conversation today. We hope for you, the listener, that it helps spark some sort of dialogue in your own mind or even with your kids or family to help move you in the direction you want to be. We've linked our questions in the show notes to be fair to the source that we found them at. We'd ask you to continue sharing. Tell all your friends if you're loving the show and you enjoy the conversations between Kyle and I, or even the interviews that we're honored to be a part of. We hope that you share this with your friends. We look forward to talking with you again next time. Don't forget to wish Kyle a happy birthday, even if it is belated. Until next time, keep living with urgency.
Thank you for listening to the Two Disabled Dudes podcast. This show is possible with your support. Visit twodisableddudes.com to donate.
Connect with us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And be sure to subscribe on your favorite podcast app.